right, guys, welcome back to the Gentleman's Bureau. Today we have a guest. Her name is Marcy Rocker Girl. She's a little famous on Instagram. As always, we have our co-host Jed Barnes over there in Buda, and we have Mark Rowe over there in Okinawa, Japan. So
Keeping it good.
right on. Marcy, what is it you do exactly?
That is an excellent question. What I actually do is I'm a writer. I started off writing, poems, and I got into novels and screenplays, and but really it's songs because I'm really into music, and I actually majored in music voice my first year of college. So from that, I got into a whole bunch of other things. When I lived in Hollywood, I did some extra work, so I did some acting. And actually, last year I was in a small indie sci-fi movie, but unfortunately, things got pushed back, and it was supposed to be released at the end of last year. I don't have a release date, but I definitely will keep everybody, posted on social media when that finally rolls out. I've done a little bit of video work. I've been in a few videos. There's actually a video that I shot last summer as well that I have a featured role in. I also don't have a date on that. I've seen a rough draft of the video. I think it's great, but of course, it's up to the artist to decide what he's going to keep and what he's going to throw away. I also don't have
Right.
a date for that either. So yeah, I do a lot of things. Like there's some acting. I was supposed to do some promotional modeling. There's the videos. There's the writing, the songs. I wrote two novels. I wrote a screenplay. But I think the biggest thing that I'm doing right this second is I just started a month ago my own YouTube channel, and that's been
Yeah.
exciting for me because I get to write and I get to shoot it and edit it. And it's called 5 Minutes with Marcy Rocker Girl. And the whole concept is 5 minutes, and I always throw that in there, or less. And
Yeah.
I tackle different topics. I mean, I have topics from, I talk about how to get into professional wrestling because I went to professional wrestling school. I talk about how to write a screenplay, how to write a novel. Then I have topics that would be of interest to singles and couples. I talk, I have an episode strictly about social media, and I have an episode about stalkers, groupies, husband, nudes. I'm just gonna call them nudes so you don't bleep me out. So I just try to tackle a lot of different subjects, and I guess it came from a lot of my friends ask me advice. And then lately, I've been getting a lot of DMs, and people are saying, "Oh, I heard you wrote a novel or a song, or I heard you in professional wrestling. How did you get involved?" So I kind of like mixing it up with like the serious and the silly. I kind of like to mix it together.
Yeah, of course. Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I see you've been doing it a lot. So tell me more about you were a formal wrestling ballet, right?
Yeah. So for the people who don't know what a wrestling ballet is, a wrestling ballet is a little tiny different from like a wrestling manager. So what they were girls who walked the professional wrestler to the ring, and usually they would stand at ringside. If they had belts, they would hold the belts. If they were like heels, which are considered the bad guys, they would help them cheat. If they were faces, which are considered the good guys, they would help rally the crowd with them. A lot of times in wrestling today, people start off as a valet, but that's kind of an introduction to them coming out as a wrestler. So when I first decided I wanted to be a valet, I didn't know much about it, and I read a pamphlet about how to get into it, and I found out that there actually was a professional wrestling school in New Jersey, which is the next city over. And so I went and I talked to them, and I found out that to be a valet, even though technically I'm not going to be in the ring fighting, I still had to go through the same program as the wrestlers. Because the theory is, you know, if I'm there and somebody tries to grab me, or if I'm at ringside and another girl attacks me, I need to know how to protect myself. So I still had to learn the moves. I still had to learn how to take what they call bumps, which is, when you fall in the ring or you get thrown in the ring. And what I found out was that it's really dangerous. I mean, they were telling me stories about people that, hit their head and like eventually like died from it. And I remember the first time I ever took a bump, which was literally like you stood in the center of the ring, like you crossed yourself like this, and you just fell straight backwards. Okay, nobody's catching you. And the ring, because it was like a training ring, was like hard as a brick. That ring was so hard. But what you had to do is you had to learn when you're falling in that ring, the first thing you do, and it has to be like automatic, is you have to lift your neck up to make sure that the back of your head doesn't hit the hard ring. Because if it hits the
Right.
ring, you can give yourself, like a concussion or something. So the first time I did it, the force was so great when I fell back, my head automatically snapped back and it like hit the ring. And like initially they were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'm fine, I'm fine." I got home and I had like the worst headache. It went on for like, like a couple of days and stuff. But I learned after that. The next time I ever got into a real situation with a girl and we fell off that top ring, went to the concrete floor, my head automatically did this. Okay.
Right.
I learned my lesson,
That's
always
it.
do this as you're falling. Never let
Yeah.
that head, fall. Um, so that was my first injury. And then another time when I was actually out there, and I was working with a tag team, and they gave me their belt, these big old wrestling belts, and these had like metal, and they were huge. They were heavy too, and I got two of them, because they were the tag teams, one on each shoulder. And I went to get like out of the ring, and I had the belts, and like I didn't think it had that much give because the ring was like old and stuff, but apparently it did. And when I went through, the belt hit the rope and the rope snapped up and it made one of the metal belts hit me in my face. And it literally
Oh
Ouch.
man.
it hit me so quick. Like I had no chance to do anything. And then nobody saw it, okay, because it was being filmed. Nobody saw it, but I felt, I don't know, this doesn't feel right. So I kind of covered it up. I kind of did this the rest of the match, so nobody could see. And when the guys were done and they took their belts, we walked back. And then as soon as I got like back to the back, I moved my hand and like blood just started squirting like everywhere. And like all the guys in the
Oh
back
my.
on the monitors were like, "What happened?" Because they didn't see anything. And I told them, and then they like rewound the tape and they're like, "Oh my God, there it is right there," and stuff. And then they're laughing at me. They're like rewinding it to the moment it did this, like over and over again. And they're like cracking up. And I had this little bump there for like a couple of years. And then eventually, so I have no more official wrestling injuries. Darn it, because those were always good stories. But
That sounds like it.
Yeah, I remember, when I was a little kid, I was super into wrestling because it was just, it was so over the top, it was so extreme, and it was so just, it was fun to watch, just like going to like a sporting event, like you just get, you get pumped up. And then I kind of got jaded with it as I kind of learned that, it was mostly scripted and this kind of stuff and all that. But then it kind of came back again as like, this is a performance. And I started to like respect it more as like, instead of just entertainment, as these are artists and they're like the top of their league because they're not, having somebody else do their stunts. And their stunts are literally, I'm going to get hurt. And you have to do it in such a way that they don't get hurt, but it looks like they did. That's a very fine line to tread. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is I think it was it Roddy Piper? No, it wasn't Roddy Piper. Oh man, I can't remember the wrestler's name. It was Mankind, and he went off the top of the cell in 1998 Hell in the Cell match with the Undertaker, and he really fucked himself up. He like his teeth went through his lip. He came off the top of the cage, ended up under the perimeter fence to keep the audience back, through a table. It was crazy, and that was one like where that line got destroyed because they knew they were just going to go over the top from the beginning.
I
Oh
think the
my.
whole thing about being in the sport. So I went from being a fan at like 13 to being in the sport. So a cool thing, and I never really reached like, like really high like the WWE. I basically did the local New Jersey scenes. At the time, ECW was still around, so I got to work with and meet some of the people that wrestled in ECW. But I actually was on a card with Mankind. When he was still Mankind. And one thing I remember about him is that he was not anything like that persona at all. And he had a devastatingly gorgeous wife. And I remember it was in Wildwood at the convention center, and he's like walking down the boardwalk. But it was like, I don't know, there's so many rumors circulating. Like you'd be in the back and you never met somebody, and there was like so many rumors that would circulate. And a lot of times I felt they really weren't true. Like the people that they said, oh, this person is so rough. Or one time the ladies were all sharing a dressing room and they're like, oh, this girl is so snobby. And then when she came out, she was the nicest person in the world. And I just think that sometimes, like, even other wrestlers, they get like really caught up in like the image, and like everybody was nice. Like I think I never had a problem like with that, but I think it was exciting just seeing the behind the scenes thing. And what I gathered so much respect for them because their job is just so hard. I mean, they do so much traveling. I mean, just physically on their body, it is so rough, and it's not. People say it's fake. It's not fake. They hit that person with a steel chair. They just cracked the table in half. How is that fake? I mean, the things that they do. I mean, I don't think I would want to do it. Like I realized really quick, a ballet was the perfect spot for me. I got into a few cat fights. I got into a few scuffles with some guys, but I was just like, this physical stuff that some of these women and men do, it is not me. I am all about the mini skirts and the bikini tops, and I'm all about being, like the arm candy. But like, I think they're just amazing athletes, and I got such a new appreciation for the sport. I just also decided it just wasn't what I wanted to do. So after a few
Yeah.
years, I'm like, this has been fun, but it's not really for me. Like I'm the peaceful girl. I am the spread the love kind of person, and it does get a little rough and violent, and so I had to bail.
Right.
I get that.
You're a podcast host. Now, is this in conjunction with now, is this your podcast or is this somebody else's?
So I did some guest podcast appearances on a friend's podcast, and I decided at that time it wasn't exactly the right fit for me because podcasts, you guys know it. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and at the time
Yeah.
I had 10,000 other projects going at the same time. I had the movie, the videos, like I just had a whole bunch of stuff going. But I am actually going to be guest host podcasting again for a brand new podcast. We're shooting an episode in a couple of days, and I will see how that goes. Like I will see if
Awesome.
a good fit for me, and but I love doing it. I mean, it was wonderful. It just was so time consuming, and me, I'm spread
Right.
out all over the place.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of the same way. Now, did they have any typical like direction that their podcast is going to go? Like, is there certain topics that they mainly talk about, or is it kind of just like what we do, is kind of freelance it?
Well, I mean, for the most part, they're focused on the ones that I've seen have been a lot of like musicians, a lot of bands, but they're pretty much open to anything. But it's pretty much kind of like that, and considering
Nice.
I'm Marcy Rocker Girl, so I guess they thought, that was a pretty darn good fit, so
Yeah, for sure.
so I mean, I haven't started like, like booking any guests yet. I'm just gonna go with the flow, and get a feel for it and see how that works. But I mean, I love talking to people. I love being a guest star. I love guest co-hosting. All that stuff is fun. And as you can see, I have no problem talking in front of the camera. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after wrestling, what was your next step when you decided that you'd taken valet as long as it was going to go? Would you go next? What was your next step?
So after wrestling, I basically just partied. I mean, I literally did. I had a group of friends, a group of my rocker friends that I hadn't seen in a long time because, like, I started off like, the rocker girl in my early years, like in high school. And then I went away to California and did more partying and stuff. Then I came back. And when I came back, I jumped straight into the wrestling thing. So after the wrestling thing was over, and I'm like, what do I want to do? I'm like, oh my God, I haven't talked to my rocker friends in years. So I called them up. We just went to all these local shows, and then we did some national show partying, and so that's basically what I did. I just partied for a long time, and then stuff started happening. I mean, all of a sudden, one day I went from just partying again to podcasting and videos and being in a movie and like I just all this stuff just started happening, from that, and then the YouTube channel, like I've only had that for a month. Okay, so that's like brand new, and I am totally learning, as I go.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, after partying all those years, like I started, making a whole truckload of friends everywhere. So I'm happy to say I have a lot of friends. So if people need, guests for everything, like especially musical guests. Like I know tons of people that DM me all the time and they're like, are you still doing that podcast? Can you get me on? I get at least 10 DMs a day from different bands
Awesome.
asking me that question.
Nice.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, we like to have a lot of musicians on. Kind of. We're actually
Just
having one
happens.
on also tonight. Woohoo.
Awesome. I mean,
Later on,
I think
but
musicians I think they're really cool. I mean, most of my friends are musicians, most of them. And I think they're cool. I mean, they've always got great stories, and they've always got something to plug. It's usually their next single or their video or, their show or something like that. So, I mean, I think for the most part, they make really good guests. I do have some friends, though, where they're great musicians, but out of all of them, you can't get any of them to come on camera. I'm like, dudes, don't one of you want to? They're like, no, no.
huh.
But most fans, they love the attention. So I think they're always, like pretty good guests. Not saying that I don't love the attention. Obviously, I do, because if you've ever looked on my Instagram or my Facebook, there's like 10 million selfies of me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like I literally pull out the self. See, I'm waiting to take a selfie right now. I was just joking, but
You get it on a timer.
yeah, no, you know what? I do that. Some of my pictures, if you look at them, you cannot tell they're selfies. But I would say 98% of the pictures on my social media are selfies with a timer. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
It's weird because people always say, like, if I'm out there, we're like, oh, do you want me to take that picture of you? And I hate to say this because people are so nice, but a lot of times when random people take your picture, they're terrible. Like, you don't want to tell them. I mean, right? You guys experienced that, right? It's
Yes.
grainy. They've got you're this little in the picture, and the background's this big, And then when you try to blow it up, you can't because you're this little, and so when you blow it up, you're extra grainy.
Yeah.
And you don't want to hurt their feelings because they're being nice. But I mean, I look at the pictures, I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I
Like,
always offer to take pictures for people when I'm out and about because I take great pictures. I won't take one picture. If you ask me to take pictures for you, you're gonna have like 20. Because
Well, you
I'll
know
get a
what I've
big
been.
background, I'll get
yeah,
real
there you go.
tight, I'll get horizontal, I'll get vertical, I'll get everything. Like ask
You
Lane.
know.
He asked me to take pictures of him one time and he had like 30 and he saved like
Yeah,
two.
Were they
I did
good
have a
ones?
lot.
Were they
But
good? 30 good
Two
ones?
good ones.
yeah, I saved some out of it. Yeah, plenty. But you know what I've been doing actually, because I have such a high frame rate on my camera. When I take a video, what I'll do is I'll just do a video, and then you could take from the video frame, like whatever
Mhm.
frame you like. So
I've
like
done
you
that.
can get and you can change it whatever way, so that way they can at the the final end of it, they can be like, okay, I like this one. Delete the
Yeah,
rest.
I was gonna say like whenever so you guys know uh that I live like in a really touristy island, right? So
Really?
we get like tons of people in and out all the time. And I like to go do the hotel stuff. Like they have events going on. I can go like swim with dolphins. And it's like, yeah, I'm here. Why am I not like I'm not gonna pass that up. I'm gonna do that anytime, right? And I don't even think about taking pictures because it's like my backyard, right? It's like why would I go and take pictures like if I was driving around town, anywhere. It's just not me. But people offer to take pictures, and these people do it so much because all the other tourists and stuff that they're really good at it. And like half of my pictures that I've like had done are somebody else just like taking on the fly. I like use those for like profile pictures for like like setting up almost anything because they're just so good at it. I was like, practice makes perfect. That's what's up.
You are so
So
lucky. But I want to see those dolphin pictures. I want to see pictures of you swimming with those dolphins.
all right, all right. I gotta say, like turtles are the best though. They're just
Okay.
so cool.
So you swim with
I went
turtles?
back with turtles. I went back for turtles, yeah.
Nice. I
Yeah.
went to oh god, I can't remember where I was. Oh, Grand Cayman Island. They had the thing where you swim with dolphins, but like across the street was like a turtle museum. So when I went on my first cruise, I got to do both of them. And that was fun. So I got the turtles and I got the dolphin like right at the same time, like back to back. Pretty cool.
Very
Killer.
cool. We had a turtle for a long time. Not sure what happened to him. He just kind of disappeared one day.
he
Did you at least name
Wow.
packed up,
Yeah, his name
the
was
shell
Swamp.
and left.
did you say his name was Swamp?
Swamp, like swamp, but with a T. I don't. My brother named
Swamp.
him. I wasn't involved.
Swamp. That is a name. Wow.
Yeah,
Well, it
it's
is.
it's
Wait,
still on the vivarium that my dad uses for his goldfish now. He like cut it out of notebook paper, sharpied it black, and then taped it onto the outside of the glass. And I'm like, all right,
It's so sad.
okay.
It's like something out of a movie, like
Where are the
Swamp.
cameras?
Oh my.
Oh
They're
man.
that
watching.
sounds like a good song, like a good kid song. You could write about Swamp. Like you could have all the kids singing it.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, like a little book comes along with it. Watercolors, obviously.
Say that. Now
Illustration.
you're thinking. Say that's
And
a good
then
idea.
Marcy can write the forward on it.
I would love to. I would love to
Yeah.
shoot. I would love to shoot a trailer when they make it a movie.
Well, you did some video vixen, didn't you?
I
For
did. I did. I have the video that's coming out hopefully sometime this year. I had a cameo in another friend of mine video. Um, so we will see about the new video. I love video shoots. They're so much fun. They're usually one day. And then you've got this great piece of work, and I can't wait to see it. Like I've seen the preliminary version of it, and I love it, and hopefully they'll keep it similar to what I've seen. But I don't know. The only problem, and see, the main reason why I started my YouTube channel, besides the fact that I thought it would be so much fun to just like talk about random subjects and get silly with it, is because I had gotten so used to working with other people. And not saying that, I can't play well with others. Obviously, I can, but there's something to be said about you being in control of the final product, you doing it all. And with appearing in other people's videos, or when I was writing songs, I had like a writing partner. Like that so much depends on the other person's effort and input. Like you kind of have to compromise and stuff, but with the YouTube thing, I don't have to wait for others to compromise. And I'm excited about this video, but honestly, it's the artist video, so I don't have any control over that release date.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the
That
downside
happens.
of being a video vixen, okay? That's the downside.
Yeah, there you go.
Fortunately, though, when it is all in your court and you get behind, then you're just like, oh god, I got like 3 videos I gotta edit, and then I gotta upload, and then oh boy, is YouTube gonna take them down? Oh man, I can't handle that. It's just, I wish YouTube was being more relaxed about things like it used to be. It's getting a bit stricter now, but I think your subject matter should be fine. It's when we start talking about
Yeah.
conspiracy theories that we get in trouble.
Well, we let people go off, and then, yeah, they say the
Well,
wrong thing.
yeah, and it's like, well, it's less YouTube. It's more like, what's right, tube. It's like you're saying what you have to say to, you don't want to like step on any toes. But yeah, I wish you luck in all of your adventures, your YouTube. It looks like it's growing. That's good. And yeah. So could you do like a quick 5 minutes with Marcy, Rocker Girl, for us right here? Do you have any topics off the top of your head you could tell us about, or
What's
Well,
your
anything like
favorite
that?
topic,
it's
actually?
interesting because I just shot 6 episodes. I just shot them a couple hours ago. And how I do it is I write down my topics, I do a basic outline, and I just go. I mean, I just talk, I don't edit myself, I say whatever. And then after I do it, it comes in the editing process. I do notice that naturally I kind of say certain things. Like I'm like, "Hi, you've reached Marcy Rocker Girl, and this is 5 minutes with Marcy Rocker Girl. Now today we are going to talk about our subject podcast, and I'm going to give you the top 5 reasons why you should have your own podcast." And then I would just go off, and I would be like, number 5, and then I would say something, and then later on I would edit something kind of cute and corny, like there'd be like a big 5 that pops up or something. And then I kind of have this thing where I giggle a lot, okay? Like I smile and giggle a lot. So whenever I giggle, my little signature thing is the sound effects. Like, and I am crazy with the sound effects. So whenever I giggle, I hit the child giggle sound effect. So then there's like this little giggle voice that comes behind me. So it's pretty funny. So like I have like certain trademark things I use, like the sound effects, the photo things. And like if I'm talking about social media, a lot of times I'll do clips of my Instagram or my Facebook page or my YouTube channel. So I try to keep it fun, lighthearted, and fun. And I think for the most part, people get that. Like I've gotten like maybe 1 or 2 people who I don't think gets it, but it's supposed to be lighthearted and silly, and I just make up stuff as I go along. Like whatever I think about a subject, it just comes out, and then later on I'll edit it. If I think I said a word that I probably shouldn't say, I kind of bleep it out. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, post
you know,
edit. Yeah.
because I don't want my whole episode, to get cut because I said a naughty word. But that only happened like once, and the word wasn't too naughty. But I bleep myself anyway, just to be on the safe side. But so far, and I have about 15 episodes up so far. I have one I'm working on. And then I just shot, 6 more. So when they're all done, I'm going to be at like, I don't know, episode number 22. So it is, fairly new. I haven't had any problems yet. As far as them, taken down or saying, it goes against these guidelines or anything. So far, I've been lucky. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on that one.
Mm.
And I expect to, as I learn more and I grow, I'm going to be doing more, marketing and promotion and stuff like that. But right now, I'm kind of just focused on getting those videos out there, getting a flow, learning more about editing, trying to make each episode better. Like I'm really focused on
Right.
those things.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what we're still trying to do to this day. I mean, we've just lately been perfecting our videos a little better, making them more crisp, more clear. It's always work, right? Some of us do more work than the others, but we make sure to get on each other if we're not, producing what we need to produce.
Still need
And
that video, by the way. Just saying.
yeah. Okay, Jed. Hey, listen. So about that video, real quick, Jed. Yeah, I uploaded that. I don't know what's going on. I will recheck it after this. But yeah, see stuff like this. Sometimes you got to have meetings within podcasts, and this is what happens. So
Meetings within meetings.
yeah, meetings with it.
I
But
mean,
it's great.
Yeah.
it sounds like you guys have like such a good thing going. I mean, I was thinking, I mean, I may or may not do it, but I was thinking maybe sometime in the future, if this thing gets, kind of popular, maybe I might have just like I won't even call them special guests. I was thinking of something like I do the top 5 all the time. So like maybe get like every now and then like a guest person to be like number 5 and like they say it for me. Like maybe every now and then to try something like that. Like I can't imagine myself doing a format like this, but it would be cool. Like me and 3 other really cool chicks talking about chick stuff. That'd be awesome. But I think I'll just like slide a little something into mine someday in the future. But I think you guys have a cute little thing going, the bros all together. I'm
It's
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah, when we had originally started this, I was in Germany, and Mark was still in Okinawa, and he still is.
I'm just gonna
And
be here
Jed,
forever, bro.
yeah, 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 and Jed, he was in the States, so we were kind of, it was, like trifecta around the world. So we were just talking about like different, cultural things and the news, and
Well,
yeah, but it's
mostly
grown into,
it started with like COVID, and like what we
yeah,
first were like contacting on was like how COVID was hitting different worlds. So like you said, I was here in the States, he was in Germany, and Mark was in Okinawa. Not only is that 3 different countries, that's 3 different continents, and it was interesting to see the similarities and the differences and how everything was being treated. Um, and yeah, I mean, here we are, still waiting for COVID to end, still doing the podcast.
You guys want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
sure.
yeah.
60,000 cases in Tokyo yesterday alone.
Wow.
Interesting.
What in the world is going on?
Meanwhile,
uh,
a group of CIA agents or whatever that were delivering test results. I don't know why the CIA was involved. I can't remember the whole story, but basically, the CIA was involved in these people being tested for COVID, and they sent out a mass email with everybody's results to
That's
Oh no.
everybody.
you
To
can't do that.
everybody.
At
That's
least you can do
huge
that
breach of privacy.
you can't do that in the States. I mean, that's HIPAA laws. I mean,
yeah.
I know that. Like, you cannot send out a mass. That would be a mass lawsuit. Like,
It should
Well,
be. I
Marcy
hope it is.
girl, Marcy Rocker girl, there's something you ought to know about the CIA. They can get away with whatever they want, and we
nobody's
prove
above
it
the
here on
law.
this podcast.
Nobody's above the law. I
Hey,
heard that
I
somewhere.
agree. I agree. But we
I
expose
No, it's true.
we
My
expose it.
day gig is healthcare, so I know a little bit about privacy acts and stuff like that. And yeah, that's a big lawsuit waiting to happen. Like, there's no
Yeah.
reason for that. Like, nobody needs to know your private health information unless you want to make it public. I mean, you could tell somebody, like you said, how many people tested positive, but you can't like read the names out loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like even if you knew everybody's name, they could still say 60% of you were positive. That's fine. Perfectly fine. Even if you knew everybody's name, they didn't tell you who had it. They just said 60%. And as long as it stays with numbers, it's fine.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. The problem with that is it matters what the context is. Because if I'm a hospital and I read out all these names and I say 60%, I've still told random people that you're a patient at that hospital, which is technically not anybody's business. Like, so you can still assume certain things depending on how it's worded. Whereas when things are really private, you shouldn't know anything about that unless you actually physically see the person at the health center or you schedule an appointment. Like, there's like no reason for that. Like, that's totally inappropriate. I mean, it's not inappropriate to say, 60% of the population of Philadelphia who lives in West Philadelphia, or
Born and
40%
raised.
males who live in,
I knew that
that's
was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen as soon as
You
she said
you you simply cannot say West Philadelphia without following with born and raised.
hey, I'm down with that. I remember when I was in the Dominican Republic, right? And then they were having a pool party, and for some reason the a prize, I don't even know what the prize was, but the challenge was you had to know how to sing every word to the Fresh Prince of Bel Air correctly. And like it was random kids. They were like 19 and 20. And I'm like, what do they even know about the Fresh Prince of Bel Air? But they knew every word in that song. I was impressed. I was
Was
really,
it was it the TV version of the song or the original?
no, it was original.
Sweet,
Original.
because a lot of people there's like two verses that get cut out for the TV version at some point in the seasons. They eventually just shortened it up so they could fit in
Absolutely.
more ads.
No, I just thought it was cool. And I'm like, I'm in the Caribbean, and we're bringing Philly to the Caribbean. So I
Yeah,
just thought it was kind of cool that they like the whole pool was singing that song. So
I think
that's
it's
pretty cool.
I think it's really cool that it's getting like a resurgence in like meme culture. Like I keep seeing like little clips and little like pictures and stuff because it was like underrated at the time, but it had so many good messages, so many good like points that got across, and they did it in such a way that it didn't feel like you were being you know taught a lesson. It just felt like you were watching people live their lives, and it just felt so genuine. I mean, for one example, the episode with Will's father, where he kind of blows up at him and says, "That I don't know who that is," and like that wasn't even like most of that wasn't even scripted. It was just Will Smith talking about his life and expressing his emotions. And when an actor can bring that kind of genuine feeling to a scene like that, that really helps audiences connect and experience that, and a lot of times help them through a rough patch that they're going through, which is just great.
And when it's a really good show, it's really timeless. Like some shows, honestly, they don't age well. Like you watch them now and you're like, what the heck were they thinking? But a really good show, you can watch 10, 20, 30 years later and you can still appreciate it. You can still laugh at the old jokes and be like, you know what? That was a great message. So yeah, I mean it was just good acting, good writing. It was fun. Like people just embrace the characters, and they're still embracing them all these years later. So yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
good.
yeah, they invented a whole new dance move, the Carlton. I do that all the time.
Oh my God, the Carlton. You want to talk about memes? Oh my God, they're so. Oh my God. But that's cool for him now because honestly, he's like a legend. Like people see him and they still think all these years later,
Carlton.
Carlton. They still think about that dance and think about how many shows since they invented television. Think about how many characters nobody remembers. But like his character, he can go like anywhere. They're like, oh my god, look, that's Carlton. I think that's amazing that you
especially
breathe
as
into that character.
especially as not a main character. Like anytime a side character can have that kind of
Mm.
status within the the community that's watching, that's amazing.
But you know something I did learn, not when the shows were on, but later in retrospect, when I was watching shows that talked about how the show was created, I learned that a lot of the famous characters, especially in the classic shows, the person that became the most famous was not always necessarily who the show was written for. Like a lot of times they would write these shows for like stage actors or like these classic movie actors. And then they would give them like children or nieces or nephews, but they wrote their characters with so much life that you forget. Like Family Matters for Urkel, you know, like he just stole the show from like every other character. And really, who was he? He was the neighbor. He wasn't the main character. He was the neighbor. And it's the same thing with like Jimmy
Carl was.
good times. He wasn't the main character. It wasn't even written for him. It was written for like I think it was written for the mom. Different Strokes had Gary Coleman. That show wasn't written for him. It was written for the father. The father was like some British actor, stage actor. So there's been like so many characters where they stole the show. Not saying that obviously the Fresh Prince of Bel Air made Will Smith a household name, but you know, Carlton's pretty darn famous too from that show.
I think Seinfeld and Frasier is another one.
There you go.
Like Frasier got his own spin-off. And some people like it better than Seinfeld. Not me. Haven't really done enough research to form an opinion on that, but I've heard both
Well,
ways.
Frasier was actually from Cheers, not
Cheers, my
Seinfeld.
bad. See,
Yeah,
that's what I
he's
mean. Like I haven't really seen the shows, so I don't really know.
I
You
think
even act, kid.
it was different kind of humor. I think that Cheers was a little bit more funny, whereas Frasier was the funny, but he was like the classy, funny kind of stuff. And
Mhm.
so I think it was a different kind of humor. But I enjoyed both shows. I mean, I thought they were both pretty good. I like them both. Yeah.
I liked that like whole era of those like friend comedy like groups, like Friends, How I Met Your Mother, Seinfeld, Cheers, Frasier. It was just nice, because it wasn't some grand adventure. It wasn't, superheroes. It wasn't some love story that's completely impractical. It was just friends living their lives. And that, we can all relate to that as people who live lives and sometimes have friends.
I was gonna say that you have to have friends to relate to that.
More importantly, your friends have to have time. Like that's what I'm experiencing like every summer. All my friends around here just get super busy with work and their own little projects, and it comes down to like 5 or 6 nights we actually get together and do something. But I mean, those nights are awesome.
Well, I mean, the thing about shows, especially shows like Friends, was they were like roommates. So of course they saw each other all the time. Yeah, like Seinfeld, some of them lived in the same building. But I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, if you're making a show and you have roommates and you're best friends with the neighbors, it's easy for you all to be together all the time, you know. But I mean, in reality, most of us, you know, might have a roommate or two or a friend or two, but we're not always in the same vicinity, you know. So it's
Right.
kind of
Yeah,
hard.
now that I'm thinking about it, that's just an odd. Man, they really set that. They were stretching it with that show, Friends. They're like, oh, so you guys are friends, okay? You live with each other and next to each other. Also, you guys are always at the same cafe, which is conveniently below your apartment.
Yeah,
Uh, you're never apart. Like,
Yeah. Same thing with How I Met Your Mother. They were always hanging out in the bar at the bottom of the one friend's apartment.
Well, think about this.
yeah,
You're living in a big city, like where's like even if you're in a small town, honestly, like you have your own like place that you usually go and your buddies go there too. So that's not a far stretch. But then like uh the furthest stretch out of that whole show is like being friends with your roommate and like getting along outside, right? Like that's a hard one.
But they show strife. They show, roommate conflicts.
Yeah, but if you ever look at that show really well, I mean, there was other dimensions going on. I mean, like, some of
They're all
them went to
babies.
high school together, some of them were related. So it was more than just we're roommates. Like if you looked at their relationships, most of them had known each other. I mean, yeah, there were stretches of times where maybe they didn't talk or maybe they didn't hang out. But if you go through their story, like their lives were like all wrapped around each other since like high school or their relatives. I mean, they really had them like tight. And it's like, at what point do you be like, okay, these are my best friends, but I want to make other friends? And it was like every now and then they have 3 or 4 episodes where they introduce a friend into their little circle and then they would disappear. You never see them again.
Yeah, yeah, they got pretty territorial. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It
I
was
guess yeah.
codependency. It was a little bit strange, It was just like this is a circle, nobody else can enter it.
Right.
The
All right.
council has passed its decision, and you are not allowed.
All right.
Pretty much.
Let's wrap it up with this last one. So we got like about 10-ish minutes left. I was
Okay.
wondering, has there been like a point in your life where you're like that could be a TV show? I'll go first to let you guys think about that, and then we can like critique each other's a little bit. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I gotta see what you
So
mean.
whenever I was in college, like my first year of college, I got this apartment, and it was the strangest setup. So I had 3 roommates that were sharing one room that really only one person was supposed to be there. They were all from Africa. I had a kid from Hong Kong that didn't know how to like take care of himself at all because he had been like raised with nannies and everything. I had to show this a grown man how to shave with a non-electric razor. I had to show
Really?
him how to make like ramen noodles so he could eat because he had no idea how to cook anything. This was hilarious. And oh, and then the girl that lived with us was so promiscuous. I walked in a handful of times and there was about 3 dudes lined up outside in our living room waiting to do the deed. I was like, this could be like a at least a mini series. Like this is ridiculous. What's going on here?
At least a mini.
Yeah, you have wholesome moments where a hardworking American man who has been raised to be independent teaches a nannied foreigner how to live, and then you also have the hijinks of a sexually independent woman doing whatever she wants to do.
She was hilarious. She was probably the best one out of all of them.
I knew you'd say that, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, why are
She
you
was a great
saying?
person.
I think your
See,
opinion
the
might be a
trick
little
of it,
biased there, but
he
Well, at
was
least
the
she has
last one in line.
at
That's
least
what
she
it
has an
was.
admirer. I mean, that's pretty cool. She has tons of male admirers. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, she
Yeah.
paid her rent on time. That was
I
cool.
bet she did pay her rent.
once.
Okay. Anyways, so Marcy, do you have any? Oh, that could be a TV show.
So, honestly, my whole life could be a TV show. Especially the last year has been the craziest ever. Like, I
Yeah.
swear sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I am a writer and I couldn't write better stuff than this. So yeah, the last year of my life, 100% could be a sitcom, and it would definitely be a comedy, a romantic comedy, but it would still be a comedy.
Nice.
Um, I don't know who I'd want to play me. I mean, I guess maybe I could just play me. But I don't know. I think that should be the question. The question should be, if you were going to make a sitcom about your life, who would you want to play you? Because that's how
Oh,
you dig deep into your personality.
there you
Matthew
go.
McConaughey. That's for sure.
You would
I
be
could
so
see Matthew
lucky.
McConaughey. I could see that. That I could see.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right.
See? So that's you playing him, right? You got him down pat.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if I wasn't gonna do it myself as much as I'd like to, because that's the whole point of writing your own sitcom is so you can be the main character. But
You can direct it, produce it. I mean, there's a million other things you can do and still
yeah,
go in it, besides starring in it.
yeah. But I think if I had to choose somebody else, I'd probably go with Zach Galifianakis.
I can see that too. I can.
Yeah,
That's
he'd
good.
have to trim his eyebrows a little bit, and I don't know if he'd have to get more weird or less weird, but the weirdness would have to change a little bit. But no, actually, I've actually been thinking about trying to put together like my own like Friends style sitcom, but small town version.
Oh, there you
Because
go.
I think it'd be very different. You know, you wouldn't see the same people every episode. You'd see, a few people very often, and there'd be like times where you'd see a bunch of different people you haven't seen before, and then you wouldn't see them for like 3 seasons. I think
So
that'd be
like
kind of
the
interesting.
ranch.
I haven't
The
watched The
ranch.
Ranch, but
Oh yeah, you
if
should
that's
watch.
what it is, then I guess Hyde beat me to it.
Kinda, not really. I mean,
Yeah, you should
yeah.
totally do that. That sounds like a wonderful idea.
Yeah. And
What
with
do you
my
guys
budget,
think
I
for
would
me?
be the
I'll
producer,
take your opinion.
filmmaker, director, actor.
Oh, there you go. Trifecta.
I am the god here.
Who would play me in a sitcom of terrible roommate debacle? I guess.
Michael Cera.
Oh, Michael
That's
Scott. No,
interesting.
Michael Cera.
Steve
Oh, that,
Buscemi.
you know that at the time that would probably work out. It'd probably work out. The way I looked and the way like it just everything came off. Yeah, Michael Cera's shy persona. Yeah, it would work.
Funny story, actually. One of my theater teachers, Michael McClendon, great guy, love this guy. But if I ever needed to cast somebody to play his part, I would go for Steve Buscemi, 100%,
Oh
hands
my
down.
god, I love
Wouldn't
Steve
even think about it.
Buscemi.
Wouldn't even think about it. I love him too. He's great too. But it was just like it wasn't a super obvious resemblance, but once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. You know, like
That's
Lane,
sad though. You don't want to look like Steve Buscemi. You just want to have the personality of Steve Buscemi, right?
right.
He's so unique looking. Like nobody looks like him. Like he's just got one of those faces. Like some people are so unique looking. You're like, wow, what did your parents look like? That's the first thing
What did
I
you
gotta
say?
see
Were they animals?
What
Oh my gosh,
you?
It just goes on from generation to generation.
it's the
Right?
same
I
face,
know.
copy and pasted.
Right? Aren't you guys curious when you see somebody that's extremely unique looking? You're wondering, And then sometimes when
Yeah.
I see them, I'm like, I can't see. I'm like, oh yeah, look, their eyes and her mouth, and you're like trying
Oh
to
yeah.
paste it together. So who would be me? Who do you think we could do me besides me?
My first thought was Serena
I don't know.
Williams.
Really?
Williams, the tennis player? Oh wait, no, is that
One
the
of them.
one
Yeah,
of them?
yeah, yeah. She's the most famous one. I mean, she is a powerful, beautiful, strong woman. So that would be
She
awesome.
got them arms though, right? From tennis.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's way more muscular than I am.
That was the one thing. That was the one thing I was like, well,
She's a lot more athletic. Like I'm more on the busty side, and she's more on the athletic side. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Landon, your
That
turn,
took me off
buddy.
guard.
If you were gonna make a TV show, what would it be about?
Yeah. So like basically you're reframing the question because
Whatever the
it's
original
like
question was, that's the
the
question. I'm
original
asking.
yeah. So the original question I don't have because I'm not seeing anything where I'm like that could be a TV show.
Aww.
I mean
In the Air Force
maybe
now.
at some point.
Playing in Spain.
What
Like
about
there's
Spain,
that
dude?
aspect. Yeah, I mean Spain was cool, but I never saw anything like that I could really put it together as a TV show. I
But
mean,
couldn't you take characters from like different parts of your life and squish them together and come up with something original? Like, don't you have like through your whole life like different people where you thought that person's kind of interesting? Like, could you do it that way, smush them together, and maybe not make it like one incident, but make it like an accumulation?
yeah, I'm just trying to think of the plot. What would that be?
It'd be
There's
called
plenty
the
of people
inside
like
job where you
I.
rob somebody's brother's car and
Oh,
they get to
Well,
go crash it, right?
And then
Maybe
blame it on
that.
somebody else.
And then blame it on another person.
who's a redneck and would be convincingly the person to do it. Yes.
Yes.
No, I think in life we do meet people that we encounter, and you're like, you think to yourself like you could be an actor, or you know what, that's a role you're playing, or like, you know what I mean. So like I've met those people, and I have people in mind right off the top of my head that I could be like, yeah, I want you in my movie. Yes, you that personality, I need that. But what's the plot? I don't know. Give me some time, I'll figure it out. I've never thought of that, like
but
making my own thing.
theoretically, they say Friends. I mean, not Friends. Seinfeld was about nothing. So if Seinfeld could be successful and be about nothing, then theoretically you could take those characters and you also could have a successful show about nothing.
True.
There you
I mean, basically, from what I gathered, I've only seen a few episodes of Seinfeld. It's just like daily life. So,
Yeah.
so it's like,
Yeah, just
About
daily
those.
life.
and how
I gotta
people
say, those
react.
actors really like did that show justice, though, because the writing in that show was very like mediocre, and then the actors like took everything out of it. So you definitely have you'd have to have somebody that could, you know, freestyle or like bring a
Yeah,
lot
what
of
was
things
up with
out.
what was up with Kramer? That guy was on like crystal meth or something. Like I swear, anytime I watch him, he comes into like any scene, he'll like bust through the door. He'll be like, "Oh my god!" It's like, what are you doing, dude?
I
Like,
don't know anybody like that.
he's like, I just parked my car. It's like, what? What are you freaking out about, man? Like, I don't know.
But
That
You gotta
guy's
go
he's
on.
a character.
I saw a picture of the real guy that the character of Kramer is supposed to be based on, because supposedly the writer of the show based those characters on like real people he actually knew. And the guy's hair he was tall and his hair was a little weird. Now I don't know. I saw a picture of him, so I don't know if he really act that crazy, but he did look a little strange to me. Like I could definitely look at that guy and look at Kramer and say, yeah, I mean, he physically does resemble him, you know.
What did
Right.
his parents look like? You know.
Good
There you
question.
go.
What did his parents act like?
Better question.
Because
Oh,
like I know
yeah.
I get a lot of my goofiness from my father, and these two can both attest that you could just follow my dad around with a camera all day, and if he didn't shoot it, you'd have some quality content to air on very select channels. But no, yeah, it's a really interesting concept. Definitely something I'll be thinking about. I'll be looking out for those moments where I can see like I should get that on camera like right now. But wow, an hour already gone. I can't believe we went by that fast.
We zoomed by. Yeah.
So you
Wow.
guys,
Yeah.
you guys just survived 1 hour with Marcy Rocker Girl. Congratulations!
Woo!
Yeah.
Ready for another one?
Awesome. So where can people find you? I know so you have an Instagram and a Facebook, which is Marcy Rocker Girl, correct?
Yes, Marcy,
And
MARCY, Rocker Girl, one word for Instagram. Whereas usually where I have all my exclusive pics and videos, but I'm also on Facebook. I have my YouTube channel. You can just do a search. You can search at Marcy Rocker Girl, or you can search hashtag 5 minutes with Marcy Rocker Girl, all one word, and it comes up.
Also, if it's more
yeah,
convenient for you, those links will be down in the description, all up together in one place. And don't hold me to this, but I'm gonna try to link those videos and that movie when we have the release dates for those. It's just will I remember when we get that information down the road? But yeah, Marcy, it's been great having you. A joy to talk to. Really brightened my day up. It was already a pretty good day. Now it's better. Thank you for that. We'd love to have you on again in the future sometime. So just let us know if that's something you're interested in. I know you're crazy busy right now.
No,
So
that's okay.
let us know.
I would love to come back on and chat with you guys. And thank you so much for inviting me. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, this
yeah.
has been killer. All right, everybody. Like always.
Bye.
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 Bye.